For all our views across Africa and the rest of the world, this is NC Continental Prime. I am Dakpo Adigboyi. The news at this hour begins in Nigeria, where the Senate on Wednesday summoned the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Olayemi Cardoso, over the freefall of the Naira and hyperinflation. The summon was through its Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, headed by Senatorial Adetokunbo Abiru. Now, the governor and his team were asked to appear on Tuesday next week to explain the state of the economy and the free fall of the Naira at the forex market. The committee at the meeting on Wednesday expressed concern over the endless weakening of the Naira that saw it rose to 1,520 Naira to a US dollar as at Wednesday. Speaking with journalists at the meeting held behind closed doors at the National Assembly, Senator Abiru said the state of the economy, especially the inflation index, was of great concerns to the lawmakers. Now, to discuss this further, I'm joined by fellow Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. Now, that's Alexa Wilcox. Thank you so much for your time. Alexa, thank you for your time. Alexa, if you can hear me, please kindly unmute your device.
I am not mute. I'm hearing you.
Okay, we can hear you now. Thank you so much for your time. Now, a quick one. What do you think is responsible for the free fall of the Naira?
Well, it's a multiplicity of factors that is responsible right now, and every economic watcher should be worried as to why this has continued to happen. And I've said this time without number, there are more non-economic factors that's affecting the free fall, and part of which is what I would call the speculative factor. Prices of any commodity is a function of demand and supply, and in this instance, one cannot say if actually the demand factor is driving it, rather than the speculative and some quasi-economic factors, non-economic factors, such as sabotage and other forms of malpractices going on within that space. And the silence of government is not helping matters. I'm delighted to the fact that there is an invitation or there is a discussion along this line at the legislature, which for me is rather coming too late, but it's rather coming late in the day than never, because right now we are in a crisis situation, and the silence and the silence of government and non-action of government is helping to fuel this speculation and keep driving the value of the currency down.
Now, do you think the Senate summoning of the CBN governor would have any significant impact, whether in the short term or mid-term? Eventually, should the governor show up?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. We have had this kind of jamboree talk for a couple of times, and nothing comes out of it. Most of the time, the Senate invitation is like a jamboree, and there is no serious business when the system of this someone comes out, and that is why Nigerians are not quite optimistic. I'm not optimistic that anything substantial will come out, because most often than not, this kind of invitation is just a jamboree. The governor will come with a retinue of aides and all whatnot, and then they will just be speaking grammar or some things that may not even make sense to anybody. And at the end of the day, they will click glasses, and then they will thank themselves, and then they will leave. And then the problem continues. Let it not be that even this invitation will cause more ripple, because the governor may not come with any substantial, any tangible reason. The governor may not come with any tangible solution. The government will not come with any tangible government action that will bring intervention, that will bring some kind of discipline. Right now, what's happening is that there's so much indiscipline in the market. And this free fall, like I said, it's not because, I don't see it as a demand push situation. I see it as more of a psychological push. That is very non-economic factors and more of sabotage. So I've never seen in a situation whereby every day you wake up from the sleep, the dollar, the exchange rate is at the focal point.
And sorry to
interrupt. What is the demand that is driving it?
Now, sorry to interrupt you. You said that you don't see this free fall more from the angle of economic factors, but this time more psychological and maybe economic sabotage, right? Now, what do you think specifically, pointing to those areas are the key factors? I mean, I'm focusing on economic sabotage right now and also the psychological aspect you highlighted are responsible for this. Can you give us scenarios?
Look, Nigeria is a country that deals in panic. And if, people thrive by creating that panic situation or creating that unstable situation whereby you just wake up and you see things happening that has no foundation. It's deep, and that has become our character, and that's become our characteristics. And unfortunately, government has not factored this. Economic managers and watchers have not factored this aspect of our way of doing things into whatever plans that they are doing. Now, the second aspect I'm talking about is speculative motives, because today, virtually a large number of the population of the populace is seeing the dollar as a store of value, and every day you see pressure from people with income that earns income begin to want to search for dollar to keep as a value, as a store of value. This is sabotage. This is not economic at all. There's no economic base about it at all. The dollar is not our currency. It's not our means of exchange. And unfortunately, I'm sure that I'm not oblivious of the fact that the CBN, I'm sure their workers are involved in it. The Ministry of Finance, their workers are involved. So it's a widespread thing that today everybody seems to be looking. I have refused to do it because I know it's economic sabotage and it's a crime against the country. Everybody that earns income is now looking for dollar to store. Now, where would the dollar come from? And so when such undue pressure, which is not economics, like I said, these are not economic factors, because if it's economic factor, it will be for productive reasons. Maybe you want to import or you want to do something, then that is economic reasons. But when you are sourcing the dollar for storage, and because there is a liberalization of domiciliary accounts, people can put as much as they want in their domiciliary account, and nobody blinks an eye. Okay, because it seems it is negative. And then so the other aspect being the fact that a lot of this Japa syndrome, a lot of people that want to Japa are looking for dollar to store to Japa with. So these are the non-economic factors that is putting pressure on the Naira, and the CBN knows about it. At those in government secretary, they say they don't know about this. So what should be the response? Something drastic. So that is what I'm expecting the senators or the House of Rep or the National Assembly to look into, and to come up with a real proper questioning, and not this book.
I mean, Alester, you've mentioned quite a number of things. One of the things you've mentioned right now that pretty much stood out, you also made reference to the Japa syndrome. I wish we had so much time to really elaborate on that. However, sometime in 2023, former presidential candidate Olayemi Cardoso was on News Central and predicted the free fall of the Naira to 1,500 in 2024. He predicted this on News Central in 2023. And he blamed it on wasteful spending and lack of willpower on the part of the government. Now, my question to you is this. Is there any form of credibility to this assertion? And is there hope, anytime soon that the value of the Naira will improve? If at all, what can be done, within the shortest possible time to improve it? Please, I would appreciate it if you can make your response in less than 60 seconds.
Thank you very much. Well, Showore was not, I didn't know him to be a prophet, but every economic watcher that sees especially the Japa syndrome and the lack of patriotism with among Nigerians, and like what I've said, the sabotage in turning the dollar to be a means of store of value, nobody should be oblivious of the fact that I wasn't expecting this, because I was expecting that a government like that of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, with all the eggheads within the government, should have come up strong to rein in. But rather, they liberalized this further. I mean, in the past administration, there was a cap on how much you can have and how much you can withdraw. But when the government came, they shifted the goalpost. They opened it further up. I don't know why. And then even the banned items, the CBN governor lifted them up. So I asked the question then, has he done the math to see if the government can afford to provide enough foreign exchange in order to meet those demands? And the answer is no. I mean, it's negative. So somebody was not wrong. although it might be mischievous, but it was not wrong because any government will know that with the way we are going and the way we are still going, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. And that's why I will appeal, and I will rather appeal that this interaction between the CBN governor and the legislators should be meaningful, not academic. Not academic. It should be meaningful interaction that should pinch the CBN governor to bring out concrete solution, concrete reasons why it's happening, and then what solutions are they having? Because the truth of the matter is, we are heading towards in fact, we're heading towards that piece. If this is not checked, inflation will keep rising. In fact, beyond the reasonable point, and the silence, and like I keep saying, the silence of governance and the governance agencies is fueling some of this speculation. So there must be some drastic action. And one of them, which I've already recommended, is a cap on the domiciliary account. The domiciliary account should be reviewed. There must be a cap. It should not be a free, dollar is not our currency. If it's not an inflow, people should ban, there should be a temporary ban on deposit of dollars into the domiciliary account. Let it be only from inflows. That will help to curtail some of. Yes, you might say they will put in their houses, but you'll be afraid to put in $10,000 in your house. But you can go and put 10,000 in the bank, but you'll be afraid to put it in your house for too long. So some of the dollars has been hidden, and because government officials are involved, so nobody wants to bail the cat. I think we should put nationalism above political interest, and I think somebody like Bola Ahmed Tinubu that has seen it all should be able to. I'm sure, and that's education, and put nationalism above political interest, because this is a widespread thing that is killing our economy, and we should strive it now and hold it down now.
All right, Lester, fellow at the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, Lester Wilcox. Once again, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. I'm available anytime, because this is a very important topic that we need to always hammer on.
All right, thank you. Now, staying in Nigeria, the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ola Olukoyede, has revealed that the anti-graft agency uncovered how a religious sect in Nigeria is laundering money for terrorists. This was as he also revealed that another religious body was found to be protecting a money launderer after some money suspected to have been laundered was traced to the organization's bank account. The Economic and Financial Crimes boss made the revelation on Wednesday at the Musa Yar'Adua Center, Abuja, during a one-day dialogue on youth, religion, and the fight against corruption. He noted that religious organizations, institutions, sects, and bodies have been found culpable of money laundering. A bit of politics now. A federal high court sitting in Abuja on Wednesday issued a warrant for the arrest of the chief of staff to the governor of Rivers State, Honorable Edison Eye. The court, in a ruling that was delivered by Justice Emeka Nwite, equally ordered the arrest of 5 other persons who were accused of complicity in the alleged invasion, vandalization, and burning down of the Rivers State House of Assembly complex. Aside from Eye, who was the factional speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly and a loyalist of Governor Sim Fubara, those the court ordered their arrest are Ajinjiri Bala, Happy Benedict, Progress Joseph, Adokie Oyagiri, and Chibuike Peter. Now, the order followed an ex parte application that was brought before the court by the Inspector General of Police. The application was predicted on sections 37, 113, 114, 84, and 184 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015 and Section 35 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, as well as Section 32 of the Police Act of 2020. In a related development, a Rivers State High Court sitting in Port Harcourt has granted an ex parte motion filed by Edison Eye, Chief of Staff to Governor Sim Fubara, against the Nigerian police. Eye had asked the court to restrain the police and other security agencies from arresting, detaining, or harassing him over his alleged involvement in the explosion at the Rivers State House of Assembly. The presiding judge, Justice Sika Akporioku, after granting the order, adjourned to February 6, 2024 for a hearing of the substantive application. Earlier, Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court, Abuja, issued a warrant for the arrest of Edison, along with 5 other persons based in Port Harcourt, for their alleged participation in the attack. To further discuss this, I am joined by Professor Richard Wokocha, an Associate Professor of Public Law, Rivers State University. Thank you so much for your time, Professor Wokocha.
Thank you, and good evening, Nigerians.
All right, now, as a professor of public law, what's your take on the court orders? Do you think the outcome of the two cases will be contradictory or will they be complementary?
Well, one is a criminal proceeding, the one before Justice Wiki at Abuja. It's a criminal proceeding in which the chief of staff is included as a suspect. And then the other is a fundamental rights enforcement proceeding. You know, earlier when some other persons were charged over that matter, his name appeared in the charge, though he was not directly at that time required to be there, and he was not directly mentioned as being one of those who committed the crime. But that must have alerted him, so he sought protection of the court by seeking to enforce his fundamental rights. And so the fundamental rights proceeding is to prevent them from unlawfully restraining him from his liberty and preventing him from carrying out his rights as a citizen.
Now, peradventure, the two courts...
They would be conflicting.
Mm.
The other court is investigating a criminal charge.
Okay.
He could have been summoned to appear before the court. But apparently, because we are playing politics, and unfortunately, the judicial institution or the judiciary has become the instrument with which to play this politics, to the embarrassment of the judiciary. They chose the ambushing antic of bringing an expert order and getting an order to arrest him. He did not invite him previously. He did not resist arrest. He did not fail to appear before the court. But that position has been taken. So he has also sought protection of the Constitution, of the law, through the Chapter 4 of the Constitution to seek his protection. And he has that protection now given by the court.
Okay.
That will not prevent him from having to appear if he is summoned to appear before the other court to defend himself. He will have to do so.
Okay, now, Professor Wokocha, I mean, this appears to be some sort of a judicial conundrum. Now, peradventure, the two courts reach different conclusions. How do you think that will affect the enforcement of the orders?
Well, it is very unlikely that the two courts are going to reach conflicting decisions, because one court is not faced with the criminal trial. What he has to do is to convince that, that's the one in university, is to convince that court that there is a threat, and that was already on before his other order. So for the two orders that have been made today, means that has already been filed following the playing around display in the earlier charge. So that is strictly about whether they are seeking to deny him his fundamental right and whether he should be protected by the law. While the other one is one in which he is to stand trial. They are seeking to bring him to stand trial for alleged offenses. The law allows you to proceed if the defendant does not come up. Proceed, and if you establish the case against him, sentence will be made, and then he will serve the sentence.
Now, how do you...
But I'm sure he will not refuse to come before the court.
Okay, I mean, how do you think the different legal approaches taken by the two courts will affect public confidence, particularly, like you said earlier, it's a political case and the judiciary seems to be the canvas on which the players or the figures are actually dancing on. How do you think this will affect judicial perception by the public?
Badly already. We have a situation, we are over the same political game. There has been several orders, those that make sense and those that don't make sense. And so this will just be seen as adding to what has become the outburst of the judiciary, the abuse of the integrity and the reputation of the judiciary by the politicians who have access or who boast, because that is the disturbing part. The fact that they boast publicly of being in charge and being able to deal with the people they want to deal with does damage to the image of the judiciary. So it will only increase the perception citizens have that the judiciary is being used as an instrument to play politics, and that does not sit well with the role of the judiciary as African society, and as the last resort to whom those who have any questions of suspicion of violation of their rights to run to. It will run off negatively on the judiciary. It's not at all good for the judiciary.
Now, I just want to know, what do you think will eventually pan out? Because right now it looks like there's the pro-Fubara faction, and there's the pro-Wike faction, and then there's a state to govern, right? What do you see happening in the coming days, particularly for the residents of Rivers? Because right now it appears like the governor's attention is divided between governing the state and then managing the politics of the state.
Well, the natural victim of this kind of politics is the state and its citizens. Attention of the government will move away from their natural responsibility of administering development, and the government will host a series of meetings on how to protect itself and how to defend itself. And why this is happening, definitely dividends of democracy, as we like to call it, what will be lost by the citizens. This will affect the state badly and negatively. Unfortunately, there is little or nothing the citizens can do when it comes to what is going on in the courts at the moment.
Well, just in 30 seconds, someone was telling me that this seems to be a norm in Rivers State, you know, especially when there's a change of baton in government. I mean, we saw it during the time of Governor Wike and then Amici, and right now we are seeing it between Wike and Fubara, that it seems like it's a political norm in Rivers State, and they've gotten used to it. Do you share that opinion too in 30 seconds?
I am afraid it is true. But the other truth about it is that it's a norm that revolves around a particular individual. Governor Amici and Wike is about Wike at the center, fighting the governor in the state. Governor Fubara and Wike is again about Wike at the center, using federal powers against the government in the state. So it's a history that is fairly recent and revolves about the activities of one Rivers citizen, and not a history that is natural with Rivers State.
All right, Professor Richard Wokocha, an Associate Professor of Public Law, Rivers State University. Once again, thank you so much for your time.
The citizens will be thanks for having me.
Still talking politics. The crisis within the All Progressive Congress in Benue State, Nigeria's North Central, has deepened as APC Ehaje Ward 1 in the Owukpa of Ogbadibo local government area of the state passed a vote of no confidence on the state chairman of the party, Austin Agada. According to a statement released on Wednesday, signed by 8 APC Ehaje Ward 1 members, the state chairman had also been suspended. But in a swift reaction, the reportedly suspended state chairman, Austin Agada, has said that his suspension was null and void. In a statement signed by Ward Chairman Godwin Abba and 7 others from the Ehaje Council Board of the state, accused Agada of anti-party activities, adding that when he was invited by the EXCO, he, Agada, ignored the invitation. Now, a few days to the legislative rerun by-elections in many parts of the country, stakeholders of the All Progressive Congress in Plateau State, North Central Nigeria, putting heads together on winning the contested seats. Now, News Central's Chizoba Anyonwe attended a meeting held in Jos, the state capital, and now reports.
This is the first time the APC stakeholders are meeting in the capital city of Plateau State since the judgment of the Supreme Court affirming the election of Caleb Mutfwang of the PDP as the governor of the state. Aftermath of the Apex Court's judgment still dominate discussions. Senator Lalong noted that the democracy of Nigeria will be better if copies of the judgments were made available to the public.
I am not saying the Supreme Court is wrong. The Supreme Court is right because it is the highest court of the land. It is Supreme Court judgment that you will analyze. It is not what you hear say that will analyze. all of us in APC are also waiting for the Supreme Court judgment. We are not only lawyers, but also we can be law students, so that it will help us to borrow, so that it will help the electoral system.
Failure to swear in 16 members of the Plateau State House of Assembly that emerged through the judgment of the appeal court, even after the House resumed after several weeks of recess, remains a thing of worry for the
tools. The future is greater than the past, so we should forge ahead as a united front with zeal and full of determination. To all APC members and supporters across the state, we pay special tribute to all of you for remaining loyal, supportive, and obedient even in the face of challenges, temporary setbacks, and provocations. Let me assure you that we shall emerge stronger. I advise all of you to remain committed as we lend support to all our elected members to enable them represent us effectively.
For the APC, the outcome of the gubernatorial election at the Supreme Court will not hinder their preparations in the February 3 by-elections in the state. Among those present at the meeting are the APC gubernatorial candidate Nentawe Goshue, his running mate Pam Botman, former Deputy Governor Sonny Tioden, and the APC Deputy National Secretary Festus Fuanta. In Jos for News Central, I am Chizoba Anyonwe.
Let's move to post-election litigation stories, where the Supreme Court has affirmed the election of Amadou Fintiri of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, as Adamawa governor. In its judgment, a 5-member panel of the Apex Court unanimously dismissed the appeal by Aishatu Ahmed Dahiru, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in the last governorship elections in the state. In a lead judgment, Justice John Okoro, who presided over the panel, held that the declaration of Dahiru winner of the election by the state's resident electoral commissioner was unlawful and a nullity. Justice Okoro further held that it was the returning officer of an election that is empowered by the Electoral Act to announce the results of an election, and that any other person who assumes that role acts illegally.
It is now time for governance. Supreme Court has brought this to a rest. And as citizens of Adamawa State, the state is bigger than individuals. The state is ours, belongs to us and our generations yet unborn. We call on all Adamawa State citizens to please come put their hands together with the government to bring development to our people at every level. We want to thank everyone for standing with us. I want to thank everyone for ensuring that Adamawa has been peaceful even through the trying times. From the lower courts up to the Supreme Court today, we've had peace in Adamawa State. We want to thank our citizens and our indigents for keeping peace in Adamawa State. I want to pledge as a government that the developments we see, now we can put more effort into bringing more development, because our attention will no longer be divided. Now it is over. So we call on everyone, no matter whom it is, as long as you have Adamawa State as your interest, from whatever party. We are brothers, we are one big family. Adamawa State is our home. Let's come together, join hands together.
Let's take some health stories now, where the Lagos State government has called for a collaborative effort and increased awareness of neglected tropical diseases, which are actively present in major local government areas in the state. To commemorate Neglected Tropical Diseases Day 2024, the State Ministry of Health noted that diseases are being ignored despite their devastating health, social and economic consequences, and significant global implications. Now, News Central's Adeshawa Udushaga tells us more.
The World Health Organization describes neglected tropical diseases as a diverse group of conditions caused by a variety of pathogens, mainly prevalent among impoverished communities in tropical areas. To check the level of awareness of NTDs among residents of Lagos State, we hit the streets to ask people what they know about neglected tropical diseases.
Tropical disease. I've heard about it, but I didn't really have a deep understanding about it.
I've not heard. So where is that discovered from?
No, this is my first time of hearing it. What's that?
As a city located within the tropics, Lagos State is mostly affected by lymphatic filariasis, which is the most common of the NTDs and endemic in 6 local government areas. While schistosomiasis, also a kind of neglected tropical disease, is said to be present in 13 local government areas in the state. As a result, the Lagos State government held an awareness walk to commemorate World Tropical Diseases Day 2024 and to further educate the public on the prevalence of these diseases and the urgent need for united action to address the inequalities that drive NTD.
We have higher and low endemicity. We have 3 LGA that is very high of soil-transmitted emitters. These 3 LGA are Ibejuleki, Amu-Wodofin, and Ojo local government.
With the theme of the year focusing on the keywords Unite, Act and Eliminate, there are calls for collaborative effort from the federal government, NGO partners and the World Health Organization to eliminate all NTDs in the country by 2030.
Sustainable financing of NTDs is a global health and development success story which cannot be overemphasized.
For schistosomiasis, we are low and we have treated successfully for 2 years. This year made it the 3rd one. So we have eliminated schisto and very soon we'll be sharing the result.
Neglected tropical diseases are tagged as neglected due to their absence from the global health agenda, even when the focus is on universal health coverage. Entities have very limited resources allotted to them and are almost ignored by global funding agencies. In Lagos for News Central, Adeshewa Odushoga.
The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, tells a news conference since April 2023 that at least 8 million people have been displaced from their homes by the war in Sudan. Grandi says most are still in Sudan, but more than 1.5 million have gone to neighboring countries, adding that the refugee response is poorly funded and predicting that without improvement, some refugees may leave and one day head to Europe.
April 2023, so less than a year ago, 8 million people have been displaced from their homes in Sudan. 8 million. Majority inside Sudan as internally displaced, but increasingly also outside. More than 1.5 million refugees have gone to neighboring countries. The leaders in Sudan are losing the trust of their people, because some of these people told me, even if there is peace, I am afraid to go back, because after what I have seen of the violence of the war in Khartoum, children killed, women raped, we don't want to go back. We are afraid even if there is peace. So, this is serious.
In North Africa, Libyan authorities have started sending 350 irregular migrants to their home country, Egypt. Libya has become a key departure point on North Africa's Mediterranean coast for migrants, mainly from other parts of Africa, risking dangerous sea voyages in hopes of reaching Europe.
ترحيل مهاجرين غير شرعيين من الجنسية المصرية لمكتب الترحيل بجهاز مكافحة الهجرة غير شرعية، ويقارب عدد المرحلين 350 مهاجر. كما نحب أن ننوه على إحصائية سنة 2023 عدد المرحلين بالكامل 23361 مهاجر من جنسيات أفريقية وآسيوية، وأغلب المرحلين من جنسية نيجيريا.
The First Bank of Nigeria Holdings has appointed Nigerian billionaire and businessman Femi Otedola as the new chairman of its board of directors. Otedola, who recently expressed his excitement about his return to the Forbes African billionaire list after a 7-year hiatus, takes over from the outgoing chairman of the board, Alhaji Ahmed Abdullahi. The 61-year-old entrepreneur currently sits at the number 20 on the list, with a net worth of $1.1 billion. The decision of the financial institution followed a recent meeting of the board held on Wednesday. The bank disclosed this in a corporate filing on the Nigerian Exchange Limited and notifying investors of the new development. This appointment, according to the bank, takes effect today, January 31st, 2024. Let's head to the business desk for today's news.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
In business, Nigeria's Naira reached a record low against the dollar on the official market, even falling below rates on the unofficial parallel market during intraday trades, according to data from the FMDQ exchange. The Naira dropped to as low as 1,531 to the dollar, compared to the parallel market rate of 1,460 Naira. The currency eventually closed at 1,482 Naira 57 kobo on the official market. On the forwards market, the currency eased further, with traders quoting the dollar as low as 1,650 Naira in a year's time. The recent decline in the Naira follows a revision in the methodology for calculating closing rates by the market regulator, FMDQ OTC Securities Exchange. The Naira has experienced a 40% loss since the beginning of the year. Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index shows that South Africa, which was once praised as a model of democracy, has fallen even lower on the corruption scale, ranking it among other flawed democracies like Burkina Faso, Kosovo, and Vietnam. The country's ranking has dropped from 54th in 2010 to 83rd in 2023 out of 180 countries. While these scores are compiled from various data sources, the trend indicates a concerning deterioration in holding the corrupt accountable. The persistence of corruption in South Africa, despite high-profile exposés like the Zondo Commission, has frustrated many, highlighting the urgent need for accountable and integrity-driven leadership. And in East Africa, Kenya's currency is experiencing a prolonged period of gains, marking its longest winning streak since May 2021. The Kenyan shilling has strengthened against the US dollar for 4 consecutive sessions, reducing its losses by 25% since the beginning of last year. The demand for dollars locally is subdued, while inflows of hard currency are supporting the shilling, as reported by NCBA Bank Kenya PLC based in Nairobi. At present, the currency is trading at 160.60 against the dollar, representing a 0.4% increase. Kenya's foreign exchange reserves have also seen a rise, reaching $7.02 billion by the end of January 25, supported by a $210 million loan from the Trade and Development Bank and a $685 million loan approved by the IMF. Staying in East Africa's largest economy, in January, consumer prices in Kenya experienced the fastest increase in 4 months. Inflation rose to 6.9% from 6.6% in December, marking the joint highest rate with October, according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. The rise in consumer prices has been influenced by the reopening of schools for the new academic year, which put pressure on household budgets for school fees, education materials, uniforms, and footwear. Meanwhile, electricity bills saw the highest increase among the basket of goods and services used to calculate inflation. Average food prices rose 7.9% year-on-year, with increases in the prices of cabbages, carrots, oranges, and potatoes. These inflationary pressures are expected to influence the Central Bank of Kenya to maintain the base interest rate at 12.5%. These are the stories we're tracking at this hour. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
In sports, Super Eagles goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali will still be available for selection for the quarter-final match against Angola on Friday if he passes a late fitness test set. Now, after being excluded from the group's training session on Monday, Nwabali returned to full training on Tuesday, boasting his chances an early return ahead of the test. Nwabali was injured in Nigeria's 2-0 win over Cameroon on Saturday, making him doubtful for the next game on Friday. The Chiba United goalkeeper was fouled by Georgia's Kelvin Nkodo while saving a cross in his box. Now, joining us to speak more on this is our correspondent, Favor Itua. Thank you so much for your time, Favor. Now, Favor, can you just start off with an update on the Super Eagles goalkeeper, Nwabali? Favor, what's the update on the Super Eagles goalkeeper, Stanley Nwabali? Favor, if you can hear me, what's the update on the status of the goalkeeper, that's Super Eagles goalkeeper, Stanley Nwabali?
All right, for Stanley Nwabali, he did train with the Super Eagles of Nigeria on Tuesday evening, and it was a surprise, of course, to many, considering what happened on Monday, how he was moving around the field, still limping as of on Monday, but on Tuesday he was involved in full training. We wait to, of course, see how well he has recovered from that injury. A lot of persons are optimistic that he may be able to go be between the sticks on Friday, but it might be an early call yet, considering the fact that we've not gotten an official statement from the coach and the medical team of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But so far so good, he's responding well to treatment. We can only wait to find out how well he is ready, of course, for the game against Angola.
Now, it feels like the fans trust Nwabali more than Uzoho. Now, will this affect, Uzoho's confidence if chosen to man the post this Friday?
Well, since the past few years, since Vincent Eyama left the Super Eagles of Nigeria, it's been one issue or the other as regards the goalkeeping situation of the Super Eagles. Once upon a time, we had Kali Keme, but no thanks to sickness, he had to withdraw from football. And then again, we had like the likes of Ikechukwu Ezewa up until Maduka Okoye, Francis Uzoho, and since that time till now, Nigerians have not been impressed with how well our goalkeepers have managed the goalposts. Some of them have committed blunders. Some of them have also had to commit honors that led to crucial goals being scored against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Don't forget, these things are many and what Nigerians are thinking. And since the emergence of Stanley Nwabali at the start of this tournament, he has been able to bring in confidence. He has been able to bring in the saves, the charisma of the goalkeeper of the national team. And since that time, Nigerians have been able to say that they are satisfied with what he has done so far, reason why they are clamoring for him to return. And for Francis Uzoho, the few minutes he played against Cameroon, we could all see that he was still jittery. He showed that he still lacked the confidence. I think that's why we are saying what we have said. And if Francis Uzoho should be called upon on Friday, it won't take more than just having to keep the man in goalposts to succeed in that particular position, because of course we know that he's lacking the confidence. So Nigerians wants to see a different Francis Uzoho should he be called upon. But if Stanley Nwabali is fit, trust me, Nigerians will always favour Stanley Nwabali at the moment over Francis Uzoho.
All right, Favor Itua, thank you once again for your time. And that's a wrap on the news at this time. But before we go, another look at some of our top stories. We told you that Nigerian Senate has summoned the Apex Bank governor over Naira freefall and hyperinflation. Libya has deported over 350 Egyptian migrants. And finally, we also told you that the United Nations says over 8 million Sudanese have been displaced by unrest. Don't forget to send in your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. You can also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Dapo Adigboyi.